mixing your beats standalone on the Akai Live II. This is MPC 3.5 software, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I got a beat playing, and I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to come in different spots, but I want to show you how I just sit with a beat after I get to this point. So you can see I have the beat already lined out. It's already arranged. And after I have the arrangement, I always say I sit and I go through, and that's when I start to do my mixing. Well, I recorded it for you, and today we're going to go through some of that process. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G, Charles Paris. The O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today I have my Akai MPC Live II with the standalone 3.5 software. I am going to show you guys some of my mixing process. I don't like to sidechain my bass, and I like to try to do a lot of my mixing inside of the box for the 2-track beat that we're going to play. And this is before we stem it out and send it over to Ableton and work on stems, if we sell that or do that. This beat right here, this is my process that I do just for 2-track beats, to put them out and make them sound the best as a representation of what you could have if you were to get the final beat. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you check out the MPC Masterclass. This will be a part of the MPC Masterclass. Make sure you check out the MPC Stemmy Pack. Stemmy Pack comes with a bunch of progressions, over 300 progressions, 40 different expansions that I custom made from Native Instruments and a bunch of different things to work right inside of your Live 2 or MPC-1 or your Akai Force, and all kinds of videos to show you different ways of doing things in real time. You can always go over and get your free drum kit, 8 soul sounds, 8 soul drum kits. You know, this is your way to support the channel and help this channel keep moving forward. Thank you to everybody who watches. All right, so mixing in the MPC. You know, a lot of it has to do with your thought process of what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. So what I like to do is I like to start from my fader from the mix screen. You know, and once I get inside that mix screen, I'll go over and I start to edit my volumes. So you can see a lot of the beat when I made it, I didn't really touch the volumes. So one tip is I do like to mix as I go. If you've watched my videos, part of my workflow is that I do some mixing as I go. That is my standard method. You know, when I teach the students or work with my students, what I tell them is, you know, you take mental notes. Like, I've known that piano since I put it in was extremely loud. I know that I want to add some highs to the drum kit. I know that I want to take some of the low end out of the sample. I know that I probably need to turn the 808 down. So, and you can see I already have some stuff on there. So the first thing I like to do is get an EQ. Right now, because you can't really see, I'm on the 3rd tab, and what I'm doing is I'm killing most of the highs and the mid. I'm turning the mids up, mid lows, turning the lows up, And then I'm going to turn the highs down. And the mid-highs, I might check them out and try to get them set in a space. Now, they're not set in stone. This is not set in stone. This is just a starting point. Because part of the mentality when mixing in something like this is you're going to touch that fader or touch that knob, and then you're going to have to go back and fix and compensate and turn down volumes other places. So right here, I'm going to go to my track edit, and I like to use my gain knob. The gain knob it's like a trim, essentially. Right now we're affecting the snare. And so I'm going to pitch that snare down. I'm going to make a large move just to hear how it sounds. I use a little bit of soft clipper to pump it back up. Now that's the clap. And this is the O.T.G Smackers kit. The O.T.G Smackers kit, the drums that you hear, they are available in the O.T.G Stimmy Pack, or you could buy the Smacker kit standalone. All of the progressions that you're hearing and every sound, I made every sound except for one. The main sound is a sample. Everything else we built around it. It's chord progressions, mixing, granulator effects, and different things to make it sit. All right, so now we're back to the snare. Trying to get the pitch right. I wanted to have a certain kind of feel, and I want the snare to sit in the mix a certain kind of way. I want it to be present, but I want the clap to be present, and I want the snare to kind of be a backbone to the clap. Always let it live a little bit. What I mean by let it live is just let it play for a little while and listen. You'll notice that's a thing that I do a lot. I'll make some changes and then we'll just sit back and listen for a while. So now we're hitting that piano again, turning it down some more. Now I'm going to go on the EQ of the piano and take out some of that bass in the mids. We're going to add a little bit of highs. We're going to go back to the volume. And now we're going to compensate by bringing it back down. We turn it up to verify we could hear what we did to it. And then we start to compensate for whatever frequencies we boosted by turning the volume down to bring it back down in the mix. We add an EQ to this piano, this other channel. That wasn't the piano, that was the strings, sorry. We added some low end to the strings. The strings are in Solina. And now we're touching the piano. The piano is fabric piano. And you can see that I created that. That's a bunch of notes that I played, and then I added a granulator to make it sound dreamy and like a pad. Now I'm going to add a flex beat. There we go. So now we have flex beat. I'm going to look for a subtle effect that I could put and leave on to kind of bring those strings out. Bring that piano pad out and to kind of tame it some. I like doing videos like these because, again, people always talk about all of the bugs that the MPC has, the Live II has, the MPC3 software, but you guys are about to watch probably about 40 minutes of a beat with 5 or 6 plugins, a bunch of automation, and I have no bugs, no issues, no problems. So again, I'm sorry for all of those people who have issues, but maybe if you kind of do some small changes to your workflow, maybe you would have less bugs. I don't know. I would love to help, but I approach my MPC as a producer, not so much as an inspector. I'm not inspecting for what works and don't work. I need it to work because it's my tool of choice that I use to create music. So you see now that I have made some changes and we have went through and done some things, now we really start to touch the faders. For those that don't know, I have 2 drum tracks, a sample that's in a key group, an 808 from Sub Factory, a Fabric piano plugin, Solina plugin, and another Fabric piano plugin. Those are the tracks. Alright, now we're touching the fader again on the snare, touching the gain. Still working on that snare, try and get it to fit in the pocket. So now I'm going to trim some of these kicks. If you notice, I have the bass turned up tight. The bass E tight, we have it turned up. So both of the kicks, I have a lot of bass. We are working it from the drum effects screen. So now I want them to fall back in the mix. That sound is the choo-choo. That sound. I want to turn it way down, but I'm going to add some of the bass tight to make it sound fuller, even though it's in the back. This is the bell. All of these sounds, this whole kit that I'm working on now, you could get it from the Smackers kit. And you can see with the drum effects, you could start to warp it and turn it exactly into what you want. Again, this is the O.T.G Smackers kit. It is available in the O.T.G Stimmy Pack, the stimulus package to turn your skinny MPC into a full workhorse. It could carry the workload. So check that out. That'll be in the pinned tweet. For those who've been a part of my channel, you know I use the Smackers drum kit all the time. It's like a kit where I could go in and the sounds are good, but with a little bit of EQing and drum effects, you can turn them and make them unique to whatever beat that you're playing or creating. So now I'm back. I added the bass to that sound. Now we're going to work on that open hi-hat. That sound. We're going to trim it way down to where it feels like it's actually in the beat. Now we're going to do the hi-hats. Now that we got that going, now we're going to go back, since we made those adjustments in the drum effects to the volume and to the pitch of our drums. We got to come back to our master fader on the drums and touch that EQ and compensate. Right now I'm editing the zap noise. Again, using the gain instead of using heavy volume. we're going to use the gain and use it like a trim and just trim it. Now I'm going to add a couple of the MPC emulators. So now on the Smackers kit, we have an EQ, we have the MPC 3000 emulator, and the MPC 60. Now we can compensate some with the volume. Turn it down just a little bit to get it back in the mix. If you made it this far, let me know if you appreciate videos like this in the chat. You know, if you do, I'll definitely show you more of this stuff. Let me know how you feel in the chat. Let me know what's your go-to plugins. Let me know how you get down. Or let me know, did I inspire you to start using your plugins? Still trimming the kicks. So now that we have the two MPC emulators, those are making the kicks hit extremely hard. Pause. So we're going to turn down the volume on those, but we're going to add more bass so it has more presence. So even though we're turning down the overall volume, we're still adding in more low end. Back to the trim. Now I do like that sample, but I feel like the sample around this time I started deciding I think that the sample could use a filter. So now I'm going to do some light setting up to make sure that everything comes through, because I'm going to automate some filter changes on the sample to give the beat additional movement. First, we gotta get these volumes right. Sit with it for a little bit, see how it feels. So what I did is I cloned, after I got my whole beat together and got everything together, I cloned the Smackers kit, and over the arrangement I came through and I played all of my snare rolls, kick rolls, and drum rolls. So now we're going to add an EQ to the secondary kit, which has all of the snare rolls and drum rolls. I'm going to add reverb to that. So here's the secret with the MPC reverb. If you turn the time up really far, but then turn the mix down a whole lot, you'll start to get a better reverb tail and just better sound out of the reverb. So I don't care what preset you use or what you're doing. If you turn up the time and then turn down the mix, you could get the sauce the way you want it with the reverb. I'm going to sit with it for a little bit, see how we feel. Probably got to go back out and make some more adjustments. And you can see now we have 3, 5, 6, 11 plugins right now. 11 effects plugins, not counting what's on the master track, and heavy automation. And you can see we have no glitches yet. So now I'm going to work on this sample. We're going to use multi-band filter bank, and I know you guys can't really see, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the middle band, you'll be able to see it. We'll solo the middle band. See it? So now we're soloing. I'm going to select the middle band as my focus. And then if you see those little knobs underneath where the waveform is, now you can open and close the filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with that song, get a good feel of how slow I want to do it. You know, the knob underneath changes the other side. So something like this, you're going to have to use 2 hands. And you want to kind of be smooth and musical with your movements. Still going through and still checking out how we going to make this work. So I audition heavily before I automate. So now we're moving the secondary knob, which is the third knob. And so now we're controlling the high end and the low end. And so now if we start moving them at the same time, we could take that sound and turn it into something extremely dope, and it gives the beat a whole new feel. But first, you should audition by just practicing in and playing. And once you feel like you got the hang of it, then you go start your automation and get it popping. See, so we have it opening and closing. So now I'm going to go out. I got a good feel. I'm going to turn on my automation. I'm going to hit play. Now, one of the mistakes that I made is that the Q-Link reset. But that's okay. We're going to go back. We're just going to go and get started. So now here we are. And I'm not going to talk all the way through. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Check out the Gumroad down below. Right now, we're just running a mix on the Live II. And it's not perfect. It's just me showing you what you could do with the mix. But listen to this. All this is being automated. You really want to take your time and make sure that you're not rushing through. You know, for some guys, you might want to just do one knob at a time, but you want to make sure that you're going to get it right, because the only way to go back through and fix it is to go through list edit. There is no real way to, unless you guys know, I might have to check into that. There is no erase all automation button. Akai, if you have a erase all automation button, please tell us where it is, and if you don't, please add one. That's pretty simple, you know. So if you made it this far, tell them to put an erase all automation button. That would help so much. That would help if you were to make a mistake or do anything like that. Instead of just hitting undo, it would be dope to have a clear automation and start over type methodology. Again, I will look to see if there is that option, because I never thought about it till right now, to be honest. Or if I be even more honest, I have thought about it, but I just assumed that it wasn't there, and that's the worst thing you could do, really. It's just assume that it's not there. All right, so now that we got that in there, we hit stop, you turn off your automation, and then you go verify. So remember, I started with the wrong cue links, so we had a couple of seconds. And now you can see the automation coming in. The reason why I wait to do the automation last is because I like to have, this is the variation that I could add over the whole beat. You know, a lot of times when you're quantizing things and doing things, so you guys didn't see me make this beat, but I made this beat on the Zoom, working with one of my brothers and just showing them different, a bunch of different music making techniques all in one. So I did shuffle or nudge the hi-hats over and get them in the pocket a little bit. But even still, most of the beats and things that you make are going to be probably have a lot of quantization. And you want to, as you are getting to a final product, you could utilize certain things to add some variation to these super quantized or looped out, very monotonous type beats. You can add in these sounds. So normally at the end of a video that I would make on my channel, I would have just left this sound alone, and you guys would have never saw that I came through and added the filter on it later. But you can hear the difference that adding that automation on the filter does, and how it starts to change the beat in ways that you probably weren't prepared for. And so now we go back and touch faders all over again. More compensation. Now I'm going to add an EQ on top of that filter, and I'm going to go straight to the highs and the mids, and I'm going to crank those highs up really high because I know that filter's doing work. We have that automation. Have the EQ after the filter, so that way we can affect whatever, add EQ to the sound coming out of the filter, and now we compensate again. We go touch the volume again, and super small increments. So remember where we started, all the faders were even, and look at where we're at now. Way below red line, way below. And so now we could come through. If I wanted, I could add a limiter to the master. We could do all kinds of different stuff to try to pump out the final sound. We go through now and do some panning. We can make some room for a vocal in the center track by doing some small pans. Try to get everything out of the middle of the beat. So those piano sound, once I added the granulator, it made it heavily go to the right side. I compensated and got it back in the center by the left by painting it left. But what it's going to do now is you're going to have that cool granulation sound drifting from the right to the middle versus it just being heavy on the right now. And the left side will stick out a little bit more when it comes on. Now for me, I don't like to be super heavy on my volume. You know, it's like I tell my daughters, you know, if you go outside with too many clothes on, you know, you could quickly overheat. But if you dress appropriately, you can always add more. That's how I feel with the sounds. You know, if you do too much, you gotta go back and take stuff off, and that's a harder process. When I walk away from this beat, my volumes could be low, it could be all kinds of different things, but I can always stem it out and add more volume. I could stem it out and do more mixing, and we can increase the volume while getting a better sound. But if I had too much, we got to come all the way back and take things out, take some off, trim it off, you know? So my rule of thumb is I like to try to be in a safe space with my audio volumes, so that way I can always increase instead of being too hot and having to decrease. And that requires me, once I get out of the MPC and finish this beat, I only want to come back to this beat if I'm tracking it out. If I'm not tracking it out, I'm probably never going to touch it again. We'll just have the 2-track. So 6 months from now, if somebody says, hey, that beat, I want to buy that, when I open it up, I can compensate and add. I could just stem out and go right into Ableton and add more volume if need be. But the worst thing to do is stem it out, get over to Ableton, have a bunch of distortion or tracks too hot, then have to come back into the MPC to redo it or fix things. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. You can check out the O.T.G Masterclass, check out the Stimmy Pack. You can get the Smackers Kit. Everything outside of the plugins are available in the Smackers Kit. All of the stuff that was used to make the beat, from the progressions to the drums, and you guys are seeing the sounds and the know-how, right? So now I'm on the master fader and I'm working with the EQ. The whole time you guys didn't know I had an EQ on the master fader, but I do. And so now we're going to make some more compensation to the master fader. And you know, I may even go ahead and add a limiter. I doubt that I'm going to keep it, but why not? Just to show you, you know, you have more than enough tools to mix inside of the box. Let's add some lo-fi dirt to the whole beat. I like that 1200 preset. You're definitely going to mess around. So now we're messing with the in. Now I'm turning out the out. I like to make major changes, so I'll turn the knob all the way to the left, all the way to the right, max it, just so I can hear what it's doing. For me, mixing is more audible than visual. Real small increments. Do some compensation for the overall volume. And I could really keep going, you know, but this video is getting long. I want you guys just to kind of get the basics and some understanding of how to utilize them, you know, and not be afraid to explore mixing inside of your MPC Live II standalone. So right now I'm looking at a limiter. Sorry that my hand was in the way. through looking to see if there's anything else I want to add. So now we have the limiter on. We can open that. You know, we can address, start to adjust some of those settings. And again, all of this is up to your taste. This is just what I do. This is the process that I'm going through for this specific beat. I want you guys to know that the possibility is there and it does exist. So hopefully this inspires you to spend some time mixing and getting inside of your Live II. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. It's your brother Charles Paris, brother O.T.G. Here again with the Akai MPC Live II standalone 3.5 software, mixing and using plugins to make the best out of your beat.